When you imagine the future of secondary education, what do you see? AI tutors, virtual classrooms, online platforms, beaming knowledge everywhere, or perhaps teenagers sitting on their own in front of screens. Let me take you somewhere more promising, somewhere more human. Picture a school where teenagers don't just learn algebra and history, but they learn how to live together, how to get along, how to build relationships, how to navigate conflict, and how to manage their time. Perhaps most importantly, they get to find out who they are. I'm talking about boarding schools. And today, I want to ask, is there a place for boarding in the future of secondary education? Let us start with the world that young people will be joining. The World Economic Forum tells us that the most sought-after skills are not technical. The technical bit is sort of a hygiene factor. It's assumed. Actually, the most sought-after skills are human skills. Things like emotional intelligence, teamwork, adaptability, problem-solving. And here's the thing. These skills are not learned from textbooks. They're learned through experience. They're learned through living the experiences. And that's what boarding schools do. They offer a 24-hour community where learning never stops. Living together builds empathy. Leading a house project builds collaboration. Participating in a house project also builds collaboration and offers us an opportunity to develop an important skill, which is fellowship. In addition to that, balancing a very busy schedule of studies with sports and community responsibilities helps young people to develop decision-making skills and independence. Research from Harvard shows students in residential schools develop more resilience, self-control, and stronger social skills. Exactly the attributes that CEOs have told us are critical in today's fast-moving world. So boarding schools aren't just preparing young people for exams, they're preparing them they are preparing them for life. But skills don't grow in isolation. They grow through relationships. One of boarding's greatest strengths is the fact that boarding professionals get to know their students. Think about it. Teachers and house parents get to see their students, their pupils, in the classroom, in boarding houses, at breakfast, playing sports, in co- and extracurricular activities, during evening study, and just around the campus. Teachers get to know their pupils, and the pupils get to know their teachers. They get to know each other as people. And the research is clear. When teachers know students deeply, outcomes improve. John Hattie, who conducted an analysis of over 80,000 studies into what works at school, found that the teacher-student relationship has an effect of 0.72. Now, that probably doesn't mean very much to you, but the study also suggests that an effect size of 0.4 is the same as about 1 year's worth of schooling. So 0.72 is nearly double that, nearly 2 years' worth of schooling. So it ranks, that teacher-student relationship ranks as one of the most influential factors in learning. What does that mean in plain English? It means when pupils feel known, trusted, and supported by their teachers, they learn faster and deeper. Their learning is accelerated. And that's exactly the kind of relationship that boarding schools make possible. In boarding schools, educators get to see pupils' strengths and their challenges long before they turn up in test scores. That understanding allows them to adjust the way they teach, adjust the way that they support the students. They get to differentiate their teaching and support to match the needs of the individual student as an individual learner. At its core, boarding brings back what matters. It brings back connection. And that connection helps teachers to motivate, personalise, and build confidence. Now let's talk about time. Last week, I read an article that told me that in Bangalore, students spend 3 hours commuting to school. 3 hours. That's 15 hours a week. 2 whole days of lost time, wasted time, dead time. The question then becomes, what could those students do with that time? Well, they could join the debate club. They could practice their musical instrument. They could code an app. They could work on their robotics project or their art project. They could be training for their favourite sport. Research shows students who are committed to co- and extracurricular activities develop clearer career insights, stronger motivation, and much better longer-term outcomes. Mastering a subject, a skill, or a sport takes time, and boarding gives that time back. What's more, in a boarding school, they will be surrounded by people who can coach and mentor them to make that time count. It provides them with the very best of opportunities to master themselves. Of course, opportunities need infrastructure, and that's what boarding schools are built for. Sports fields, theatres, studios, music rooms, all steps away. No long drives across the city, no waiting for parents to finish work. Facilities and trained coaches are right there. That's why participation in extracurricular activities is so much higher in boarding schools than it is in day schools. And these aren't just extras, they are crucibles of character. A student rehearsing for a play isn't just learning lines, they're learning teamwork, confidence, and self-possession. A swimmer training for regionals isn't just chasing medals, they're learning self-discipline, they're learning tenacity and resilience. These are experiences that shape leaders. And yes, my strongly held view is that education should be fun, and boarding is a great way of making it fun. Young people live together, like living together. At boarding school, the fun is arranged and is purposeful, what I like to call serious fun. Impromptu debates in the common room, a weekend hackathon, a kickabout under the floodlights. These aren't distractions from learning, they are learning. And positive psychology tells us that joy, belonging, and play are essential for motivation and growth. Some boarding schools do this extremely well. They are usually the boarding schools that are applying educational frameworks and philosophies that have been crafted over generations. Done well, boarding creates a community that is fun, formative, and deeply human. So let's return to our question. Is there a place for boarding in the future of secondary education? Absolutely. Boarding cultivates the very soft skills that are so sought after. It deepens the teacher-student relationships that accelerate learning and development. It reclaims wasted hours and reinvests them in growth. It provides facilities and the mentors that are needed to promote mastery, and it builds communities of purposeful fun. At their very best, boarding schools aren't just places to learn, they're places to become. And in a world that desperately needs adaptable and empathetic leaders, it's a kind of education that shouldn't be optional. It is essential. Thank you.